and they were written by internationalists. These plans described in detail how this internationalist elite intends to gain control over all sovereign nations. By various methods, of course, which include driving them into debt or war, just as they did to Hitler's Germany. This group of internationalists not only destroyed Germany twice, they will attempt to destroy anyone who tries to get in their way. They will even try to stop you watching this video. In many parts of Western Europe, for example, just owning this video could get you a jail term. You are not supposed to learn these historical facts which are contained within this video. We do not offer you another version of historical truth, but historical facts, which we found in the camps themselves. You must decide what is true.
During World War II, many countries built concentration camps. In the United States, American Japanese were imprisoned only because of their race. Switzerland built concentration camps where refugees were forced to do heavy manual labour. Even Australia had concentration camps. The world's first concentration camps were set up by the British, Field Marshal Lord Roberts in Africa during the South African War of 1900, and expanded by this man, Lord Kitchener. 250,000 people were interred in these camps, and more than 50,000 of them, black and white, died of malnutrition and disease. In 1918, immediately after World War I, Poland, which had been granted large areas of German territory by the Treaty of Versailles, built the first 2 European concentration camps in the former German territory of Posen. They immediately imprisoned 16,000 Germans. In the next 8 years, the Poles built another half-dozen camps, imprisoning more than 50,000 Germans and thousands of Ukrainians. The German Foreign Office even brought out a book entitled Documented Polish Atrocities, showing dozens of graphic photographs of the victims. This book has since been removed from sale. But it was a full-scale slaughter of German citizens in 1939 when Polish militia murdered 5,500 German men, women and children in the village of Bromberg that forced Hitler to send in his troops to protect his citizens, and which gave France and Great Britain the excuse to declare full-out war against Germany. When Hitler became Chancellor on the 30th of January 1933, the German nation was in deep financial despair. The country had been sabotaged by Zionists in the First World War, and the Treaty of Versailles was bankrupting the country. Millions were unemployed and their families were starving. Hitler knew that Zionist groups were behind Germany's defeat in the First World War, and he wanted them out of Europe. Together with the Zionist group Irgun II Leumi, Germany and France had arranged to deport some 4 million European Jews to the island of Madagascar. In retaliation to the deportations, and only 6 weeks after Hitler took power on the 24th of March 1933, an influential American Zionist group headed by Mr. Samuel Untermyer declared world war on Germany. This declaration made newspaper front covers worldwide. At the same time, Zionist lobby groups were dispatched to bully governments into boycotting Germany. Hitler hit back by ordering Jews to identify themselves as enemies of the Reich by wearing the yellow star. When Hitler marched into Poland to stop the atrocities, Britain and France declared war, and the Jews, who had also openly declared war on Germany, were interred in camps, as any nation would do to any enemy. On the 31st of October 1919, more than 14 years before Hitler came on the scene, the former governor of New York, Mr. Martin Glynn, wrote an article for the American Hebrew magazine entitled "The Crucifixion of Jews Must Stop." 6 times in the article, Mr. Glynn bemoaned the 6 million Jewish men, women and children that were dying in a Holocaust. But as this was 20 years before the Second World War even started, nobody can blame this Holocaust on Hitler. Of course, what are 6 million dead when compared to the millions and billions of Jews murdered by the Romans and written about in the Jewish Talmud? When Germany was defeated in 1945, the Allies captured over 3,000 tons of written material, but nowhere in this material did any researcher find any orders or plans from the Nazi hierarchy to kill Jews. At the Nuremberg trials, the only evidence presented to the courts as proof that such a plan existed were the so-called Wannsee protocols. Wannsee is a beautiful wooded suburb of Berlin, and it is claimed that on the 20th of January 1942, a group of top Nazi officials under the leadership of SS Obergruppenführer Reinhard Heydrich met in a large villa to discuss the final solution of the Jewish question. The prosecution alleged the final solution alluded to a plan devised by the Nazi leadership to eliminate as many European Jews as they could get their hands on. Copies of these protocols are on show in various museums in the world, but only native Germans reading them would notice that whoever wrote these protocols had very little understanding of German grammar or of secretarial skills. The so-called Wannsee protocols are badly done fakes. Of course, after the war, the Allies had full access to all official Nazi stamps, typewriters, letterheads, and everything needed to create fake documents that could have been better than originals. But in the case of the Wannsee protocols, the faking was done so badly that today they would be laughed out of court. So the only document that was ever presented to the world as proof of an official Nazi murder plan is a document made by an amateur crook. There never was an official Nazi plan to destroy the chosen race. Today it is often claimed that the orders to kill Jews was handed down orally. Of course, with one of the best trained and disciplined armies in the world, one would have to be very naive to believe that Hitler whispered this order to his generals and they passed it down to the colonels, to captains, army to army, division to division, man to man. Such an order had to be written, and in millions of copies. But to date no one has ever found such an order, because it never existed. These photos were taken in Auschwitz, Dachau and Neuengamme, and they show us the conditions under which the prisoners had to work. And you must look very closely to even see a guard.